39 seconds.
He worked in silence, not because he preferred it, but because silence had become the only thing that didn't speak back. Mark Ellison archived sound, not music, not podcasts, just raw audio, anonymous files from research labs, phone logs, ambient tests. He labeled, tagged, uploaded, stored. It was work without rhythm, without outcome, without memory. Until one Tuesday morning, a file appeared in his queue that hadn't been routed through the usual channels. It had no metadata, no sender, just a name, 39 seconds, .wave. He played it once, only out of protocol, and for 39 seconds, he heard nothing but static. A clean, uninterrupted hiss, like the sound a television used to make when the world went dark after midnight. He logged the file, marked it, moved on. That night, he received an anonymous message. No greeting, no threat, just a sentence. If you hear it to the end, someone dies. This is not a threat. It's an order. He didn't respond. There was no sender, no return path, no context. The next morning, he opened the file again, not out of belief, out of curiosity. And again, static. Only static. The message came again. Same words, same timing, same absence of logic. He played it a third time, and that evening, he saw a headline. Unexplained death shocks local community. Man, 52. Time of death, 11:39 a.m., the exact moment Mark had finished listening. He didn't sleep that night. Not because he was afraid, but because the silence had changed. It now felt full. He isolated the file, filtered frequencies, cleaned layers, and deep in the left channel, at minus 40 decibels, he found something. A voice. Not a sentence. Just a name. His name, spoken once, soft, certain, and dead calm. He deleted the file, or tried to. But the next morning, a new message arrived. Next is someone you know. He called his sister. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. He didn't play the file that day. Didn't even touch his headphones. He sat still, waited, and nothing happened. No message, no news, no call. The file stayed silent, as if it too was waiting. That night, he played it again. He told himself it was research, a need to know, a final proof. 39 seconds of static, breath, a low thrum like something large turning in the dark. The next morning, his brother was dead. Heart attack, no history, no signs. Time of death, 2:39 a.m. Mark didn't cry, didn't speak. He just stared at the screen where the file now had a new name. 39 seconds final .wave, and a message. You were not asked to choose. You were asked to obey. He didn't press play. Not that day, not the next. But the file remained. Waiting. Patient. Sometimes he thought he heard it playing, even when the speakers were off. Sometimes he wondered if the silence had started whispering. And one morning, a final message appeared. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock. This time, it's someone else's list. He didn't reply, didn't delete it, But he did move his headphones a little closer to the keyboard. Not as a decision, not yet. But sometimes, not choosing is a kind of consent. Keep watching. He had never planned to teach. But like most things that last, it began by accident, a temporary position, a few substitute classes, and then somehow, 20 years passed. Mr. Callan spent most of his afternoons in room 3B, a low-ceilinged classroom with flickering lights, a broken window latch, and 17 desks arranged with the kind of order that only really exists when no one touches anything anymore. It was a remedial class. They didn't call it that, of course. They called it support, individual attention. But the truth was simpler. These were the kids no one quite knew what to do with. Quiet, drifting. The kind who answered questions with looks, not words. On a Thursday afternoon, after the last bell had rung and the hallway emptied like water from a cracked bowl, he noticed a bag under one of the desks, black canvas, faded, a patch half torn off, the name unreadable. He checked inside. No books, no phone, only a small plastic case. VHS. On the label, in red marker, keep watching. He turned the case over. No school sticker, no date. Just that phrase, not written but etched, like someone had pressed too hard and couldn't stop. He didn't take it home. He told himself it wasn't fear, just inconvenience. So instead, he unlocked the door to the old AV room. No one used it anymore. There was dust on the chairs, and the smell of melted plastic lingered in the air like a memory no one wanted to claim. The TV still worked. The VCR clicked with a sound he hadn't heard in over a decade. He pushed the tape in, waited. The screen blinked once, then again, and then his classroom. Room 3B filmed from the outside through the window. The camera didn't move, didn't pan, just watched. Inside, his students, seated, motionless, not frozen, just waiting. As if something had paused them or held them in place, and one detail struck harder than all the rest. He wasn't there. No desk at the front, no movement, no teacher, only them. He watched the full tape, rewound it, watched it again. Same camera, same angle, same stillness. He left the tape in the player, turned off the lights, locked the room behind him. But that night, he dreamt of windows, open ones, facing inward. The next day, he returned to the room, pressed play again. The video had changed. The angle was different now, closer, from the hallway, looking through the door's narrow glass slit. And this time, the students were staring at the lens, not blankly, not with recognition, but with expectation. Then, one of them moved, slowly, deliberately, leaning toward the camera, mouthing something. He played it back in slow motion, watched the shape of the lips. He counted the syllables. 5 words. Why did you leave us? He stopped the tape, ejected it. His hand shook just slightly. He went to the office, asked for student records. There was no Jonas listed in his class, no matching name, no record at all. He walked back to room 3B, empty. But on the desk, where his attendance sheet should have been, lay the tape. back in its case. But now, the label had changed. Same marker, same pressure, but new words. Now you're watching. He didn't go home that night. He didn't call anyone. There was no one to call. He returned to the AV room, turned the lights down, pressed play. This time, the image was no longer the classroom. It was him. Live. From behind. On the monitor, himself, sitting in that very chair. But what unnerved him was not the live feed, not even the impossibility of it. It was the face on the screen. Because the version of him on that monitor was not watching the tape. He was looking into the lens, as if he'd been waiting. And then, he smiled. There was no final message, no flicker, no black screen. Just two words, staring at him from the bottom corner of the frame. Keep watching.